Beneath the azure waters off Australia's coast lies the world's largest living structure, the Great Barrier Reef. This natural wonder, visible even from space, now faces an existential crisis. In this video, we'll explore the unprecedented threats to this marine ecosystem and the cutting-edge technology being deployed in a race against time to save it. From autonomous underwater drones to artificial intelligence, scientists are pioneering revolutionary approaches that could determine the fate of coral reefs worldwide. The Great Barrier Reef is in serious trouble. Recent surveys paint a grim picture. Over 60% of the reef has experienced severe bleaching events in just the past 5 years. The 2023 assessment revealed the most widespread coral bleaching ever recorded in the reef's history. This isn't just an Australian problem, it's a global emergency. Coral reefs support approximately 25% of all marine species while covering less than 1% of the ocean floor, making them biodiversity hotspots of incalculable value. What makes this crisis different from previous threats is its unprecedented scale. Traditional restoration methods that work for localized damage simply cannot address thousands of square kilometers of degrading reef. The culprits behind this devastation form a perfect storm of environmental pressures: climate change-induced ocean warming, agricultural runoff polluting coastal waters, and increasing ocean acidification as seas absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The consequences of losing the Great Barrier Reef extend far beyond ecological concerns. This natural wonder generates over $6.4 billion annually for the Australian economy through tourism and fisheries. Globally, healthy coral reef ecosystems provide livelihoods for more than 500 million people. Without immediate intervention, experts predict that up to 90% of the world's coral reefs could disappear by 2050. This wouldn't just be an ecological disaster, it would trigger a humanitarian crisis for coastal communities dependent on these ecosystems for food security and economic stability. The reef's decline represents a critical juncture where environmental protection and human welfare are inextricably linked. As coral ecosystems collapse, the ripple effects would impact everything from coastal protection against storms to pharmaceutical discoveries derived from reef organisms. In response to this crisis, the Australian Institute of Marine Science, AIMS, and the Queensland University of Technology have launched a groundbreaking initiative. This month saw the deployment of the world's first autonomous underwater drone swarm specifically designed for coral restoration. These underwater vehicles, called LarvalBots, represent a quantum leap in marine conservation technology. The LarvalBot system consists of 25 autonomous underwater drones working in coordinated swarms, each carrying millions of lab-cultivated coral larvae from species specifically selected for their resilience. What makes this approach revolutionary is its scale. A single LarvalBot swarm can cover up to 40 times more reef area than traditional diver-based restoration methods, delivering over 100 million coral larvae in a single deployment. This technology builds upon earlier prototypes tested between 2018 and 2022 but marks a significant advancement in both autonomy and efficiency. Creating the LarvalBot system required overcoming substantial engineering challenges. These drones must operate in harsh saltwater environments with strong and unpredictable currents while maintaining precise positioning for effective larval delivery. Each unit contains specialized buoyancy control systems allowing it to hover mere centimeters above fragile coral structures without causing damage, a feat of precision engineering. The power management systems enable deployment durations of up to 8 hours, crucial for covering significant reef areas in a single mission. Perhaps most impressive are the miniaturized propulsion systems, designed to ensure minimal disruption to the surrounding water column. This prevents the delicate coral larvae from being swept away during deployment, significantly increasing settlement success rates. Every component must withstand the corrosive effects of seawater while maintaining the delicate balance between robustness and the gentle touch required for this sensitive ecological work. The LarvalBot system isn't just about delivery technology, it's equally focused on what's being delivered. The coral larvae carried by these drones aren't randomly selected, they're the product of careful scientific selection. Researchers have identified genetic markers associated with heat tolerance and selectively bred corals exhibiting these traits. This approach ensures that restoration efforts contribute to building more climate-resilient reef ecosystems rather than simply restoring vulnerable populations that might quickly succumb to future bleaching events. By focusing on corals that can withstand higher water temperatures and increased acidification, scientists are essentially accelerating evolutionary adaptation that would otherwise take centuries, time the reefs simply don't have. This selective breeding program represents a form of assisted evolution, helping coral species adapt to rapidly changing ocean conditions faster than natural selection alone would allow. The most fascinating aspect of the LarvalBot system is its adaptive intelligence. Unlike previous conservation drones that required continuous human guidance, these new systems utilize a decentralized AI network that allows the swarm to make collective decisions based on real-time environmental data. Each drone continuously analyzes water temperature, current patterns, predator presence, and substrate quality. This information is shared across the swarm network, allowing the collective to optimize deployment patterns without human intervention. If conditions suddenly change, the swarm can redistribute itself to focus on areas with higher success probability. The AI system incorporates years of coral ecology research, allowing it to identify not just suitable physical locations but recognize ecological niches where specific coral species are most likely to thrive. This targeted approach significantly increases survival rates compared to earlier, less discriminating methods. The swarm behavior algorithms powering these drones draw inspiration directly from natural systems, particularly the collective decision-making processes observed in social insects like bees and ants. Each drone functions as an individual agent with simple rule sets, but the emergent behavior of the entire swarm demonstrates complex problem-solving capabilities that no single unit could achieve alone. When one drone identifies a particularly auspicious restoration site, it can recruit others to the area while maintaining optimal spacing to ensure maximum coverage without redundancy. This biomimetic approach, technology imitating nature, creates a system that's both highly efficient and adaptable to the complex, changing environment of a coral reef. The swarm can split to cover multiple promising areas simultaneously or concentrate forces on particularly damaged sections, much like how natural organisms allocate resources based on collective intelligence. The learning capabilities of the LarvalBot system are perhaps its most promising feature. Each deployment generates data that refines the AI models, improving efficiency with each successive mission. Early deployments showed approximately 35% accuracy in identifying optimal settlement locations, but current systems now demonstrate over 80% accuracy based on post-deployment survival assessments. This remarkable improvement highlights the power of machine learning in conservation technology. The system effectively learns from both successes and failures, continuously refining its understanding of the complex variables that determine coral survival. As more deployments occur across different reef systems and conditions, the collective knowledge of the system grows exponentially. This creates a virtuous cycle where each restoration effort not only directly helps the reef but improves the effectiveness of all future deployments. The LarvalBot project isn't just about coral restoration, it's creating an unprecedented data collection system for marine science. Each deployment generates terabytes of high-resolution imagery and environmental measurements, assembling the most detailed reef system mapping ever created. This data treasure trove is being used to create digital twins of reef ecosystems, virtual models that allow scientists to simulate different conservation strategies and predict outcomes decades into the future. The project has already identified previously unknown patterns in coral recruitment success related to microbiome composition and water flow dynamics that weren't visible without this massive data collection capability. These digital twins serve multiple purposes. They provide baselines to measure restoration success, allow for virtual testing of interventions before physical deployment, and create a permanent record of reef conditions that can inform protection policies and adaptation strategies. Initial results from the first LarvalBot deployments show promising signs. Areas treated with the system demonstrate 3 to 4 times higher coral recruitment rates than control areas, with particularly powerful results for heat-resistant coral varieties selected specifically for climate resilience. These early successes provide proof of concept for this revolutionary approach to reef restoration. Importantly, the technology has applications far beyond the Great Barrier Reef. Similar systems are now being adapted for deployment in the Caribbean and Southeast Asian reef systems, with modifications for different species compositions and environmental conditions. The open-source approach to the underlying technology means that conservation organizations worldwide can adapt and implement similar systems tailored to local needs. This global scalability is critical given that coral reef degradation is a worldwide phenomenon affecting marine ecosystems across tropical and subtropical regions. As the LarvalBot project expands, researchers are already developing the next generation of reef restoration technologies. Upcoming iterations will include permanent autonomous monitoring stations that detect early signs of coral stress and deploy intervention measures before bleaching occurs. These systems may eventually incorporate micro-interventions such as localized shading during heat waves or targeted probiotic treatments to bolster coral immune responses. The project represents a fundamental shift in conservation philosophy, moving from passive observation and documentation of decline toward active, technology-enabled ecosystem management. While critics raise concerns about potential unintended consequences of such interventions, the rapid deterioration of reef systems worldwide has created consensus among marine scientists that bold action is necessary. The future vision includes a permanent network of autonomous systems that provide continuous protection and support to reef ecosystems, creating resilience against the mounting pressures of climate change. The LarvalBot project represents more than just technological innovation, it embodies a philosophical transformation in how we approach conservation. For decades, marine protection has focused primarily on establishing reserves and reducing direct human impacts like overfishing and pollution. While these approaches remain vital, the accelerating effects of climate change have forced a reconsideration of purely hands-off conservation strategies. The LarvalBot initiative acknowledges that in a human-altered world, active intervention may be necessary to preserve ecosystems that would otherwise collapse before natural adaptation could occur. This shift from passive guardian to active steward raises important ethical questions about humanity's role in managing natural systems. Yet as climate change threatens marine ecosystems worldwide, this fusion of biology, robotics, and artificial intelligence represents one of the most promising approaches to preserving these critical habitats for future generations. The LarvalBot project demonstrates that human ingenuity, when combined with respect for natural systems, can create powerful tools for ecological restoration at scales previously thought impossible. The urgency of this work cannot be overstated. Without immediate intervention, experts predict that up to 90% of the world's coral reefs could disappear by 2050. This would represent not just an ecological catastrophe but a humanitarian crisis for the hundreds of millions of people who depend on reef ecosystems for their livelihoods and food security. The Great Barrier Reef alone generates over $6.4 billion annually for the Australian economy. Globally, reef ecosystems provide essential protein sources, coastal protection, and economic opportunities for some of the world's most vulnerable communities. The LarvalBot project represents a beacon of hope in this dire scenario, a demonstration that with the right combination of scientific understanding, technological innovation, and ecological respect, we might yet save these precious ecosystems. The project reminds us that in the face of unprecedented environmental challenges, human creativity and determination remain powerful forces for positive change. The Great Barrier Reef stands at a crossroads, facing threats unprecedented in its ancient history. The LarvalBot project represents humanity's most advanced response to this crisis, a fusion of cutting-edge technology with deep ecological understanding. These autonomous underwater drones, working in intelligent swarms to deliver heat-resistant coral larvae, offer something that has been in short supply: hope. The early success of this approach demonstrates that we need not resign ourselves to watching these magnificent ecosystems disappear. Instead, by combining artificial intelligence, robotics, selective breeding, and biomimicry, we're creating restoration systems that can operate at the massive scales needed to make a difference. As these technologies evolve and spread to threatened reefs worldwide, they may help bridge the gap until broader climate solutions take effect. The LarvalBot project reminds us that in our relationship with nature, we can be more than just destroyers or passive observers, we can become active partners in regeneration and resilience. The fate of coral reefs will ultimately depend on addressing climate change at its source, but innovations like these underwater drone swarms give these irreplaceable ecosystems a fighting chance for survival, and in doing so, protect the countless species and human communities that depend on them. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for updates. Your feedback is appreciated. We hope to see you again.